Welcome back to another video of RoboCNC. I'm Marcel. Well, you've not been seeing a lot of me lately, so again you had to wait quite some time for a new video. I'm sorry for that, and that might still be the case for the next video too. I'm not sure. There's a lot going on in my life. I have a lot of things to do. Bought a new house, a small farm. With a new shop space, so lots and lots to do for me and not much time to do videos. But the machine has been running for a couple of years now, and you guys have been asking questions all along. So what would I do differently? Failure points, stuff like that, and some maintenance. So this video is going to be about that maintenance, and along the way I will change some things, and as you can see it's quite a mess. So let's dive into it. So a whole lot of questions I get asked is about these rack and pinion drives. Well, they have been holding up quite well. I think in the years that I'm now using it, I had to replace 2 of the belts, so they had broken on me, and then you will just know it right away, since there's a lot of backlash that comes from breaking the belt. Since the pulleys do not grab on the teeth of the rack anymore, you will find out you will get a lot of play in them. So only 2 times the belt broke. Is that good or is that bad? Well, it's definitely annoying, since you are working for customers, and when they break, it's always at a bad time. So make sure you have a few of those belts if you use a system like this. The play in it, it's just is great for the purpose that I'm doing. There's really zero backlash basically. So it's working out great for that. Well, there is been a small change in these units. So basically there are 2 things that are not that great on this unit. Number 1 is the belt sometimes breaks, which is a failure point, an extra failure point probably on your machine if you use a system like this. So more on that subject later. And there is another thing, and that's the reason why the belt breaks, is because you tension them too much. And that problem is, well, it's something you do by yourself, but tensioning it is quite difficult. It's easy to over tension the belt. I will show you that later on in the video. But first of all, I will disassemble this unit. So let's go. I'm planning to do a change on the gantry and doing some maintenance, so I have to remove the linear rails. To do so, I first removed the green caps, and I found it easiest to just use a screw and ruin the caps. They're quite cheap online, so I'll change them out later. Loosening up the bolts. This would make it easy to just remove the rail itself. If I, however, remove the rails, then the pillow blocks or the bearing blocks itself will be open to dirt and stuff. Not only that, but I don't really know if the ball bearings inside have a cage, so I do think they will remain inside the bearing, but I'm not completely sure. When the bearings came, they were supplied with these plastic caps inside them to, well, I think to keep the dirt out and to keep the ball bearings inside. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna slide out the linear rails and replace the rails with the plastic caps. So this way I know for sure that the ball bearings will stay inside and that dirt will stay outside. So, one of the things I should have done differently. It's a common question, what would you have done differently? Well, for those that I talked to already know, because I told quite soon when starting to use the machine, I should have made these columns a bit higher, or I should have made this one, this top rail, not an 80 by 80 millimeter, but I should have made it the same as the bridge, the gantry, like 80 by 160 for instance. So the problem is if you put something on your bed, for instance a piece of foam or wood that's 50 millimeters thick, then your end mill also needs to be at least 50 millimeters long. So you already for 50 millimeters need a total Z clearance of 100 millimeters. So things add up quite quickly, and I kept it low to make the machine as rigid as possible, but it's too low. So what would be best to do? Well, to replace these columns or replace this top rail by the 8060. 8160, but that means I have to break the machine down from top to bottom, or from bottom to top basically, and I'm not really wanting to do that. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take another piece of this 8080 profile and I'm gonna put it on top of this rail. So let's do that. So one of the questions that I got quite a lot is about lubricating these bearing blocks. These bearing blocks are the ones that ride my x-axis, so in my case the long axis. And well, those HIWIN rails are exposed to dust and shavings while doing woodworking, for instance. Well, I did put on these small, what are they called? Grease inlets, let's say grease inlets, and they are meant to be used with, well, quite a thick lubricant, a grease. I tend not to use it because if I do so, the grease gets on the HIWIN rail, and the HIWIN rail is in a dusty environment, so the dust will get on the HIWIN rail, etc., etc., which will eventually get into the bearing blocks and get them dirty. So what I tend to use is some dry lubricant. There are many on the market. This one is WD-40 Specialist, and it's called dry lubricant with Teflon, PTFE. So it's anti-friction, anti-corrosion, all that kind of stuff, and it's dry, so it does not make the rails sticky. Is that the best solution friction-wise? Probably not. Is that the best solution to make the lifetime of those bearings as long as possibly? No, probably not. But it's the way I do it. And why? Because of the dusty environment. And yeah, you can make the CNC machine quite complicated and make dust caps and stuff, and well, by all means, if you want to do it. What I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna clean these just as a maintenance thing after, what is it, 4 years of use now, I guess. So I'm taking them out. I'm gonna hope that the ball bearings will not fall out. We're gonna see. Otherwise well, I will have a new problem. So let's hop into this. I will bring you up a little bit closer. So on this side is a small wiper that normally pushes the dust off the rail not to enter into the bearing. I am going to try to remove these, and hopefully the ball bearings will stay in there. So let's see what happens. So seems like the ball bearings are still in place, and those look quite exceptionally clean. But in here in the middle there is quite some dust or debris. So let me clean that out. So the machine is raised by 80 millimeters using an item 8080 profile. The bearings are now all cleaned and back together. Using one of the pillow blocks, a magnetic dial indicator, or a magnetic base and a dial indicator, I'm aligning the linear rails, the HIWIN rails, to the machine. I've done an in-depth video on this when building the x-axis and the y-axis, so I'm not going to go into all the details. But for those saying, yeah, but the aluminum is not that square, well, you check them, you buy them, and you see how square they are. I have checked them with a straight edge, and of course it would be best if it was ground flat, but I do not have that option, so this is really working fine for me the last couple of years, so I'm gonna do it exactly the same again. So a lot of questions I get is about these rack and pinion zero backlash systems. And zero backlash, of course, it's a non-existing kind of backlash, but it is really low. And we can do some measurements later on maybe, but even with your fingers, and you might think otherwise, but your hands can feel a lot. There is nothing in here. Anyway, so was it completely trouble-free? No, of course not. Welcome in CNC world. Yeah, nothing is trouble-free. In the time I have been using these, I have been breaking 2 belts, which is an easy fix. You take the unit off, open it up and put a new belt on it. But the reason that it breaks is because we tension it too hard. Kevin Dahmen at Dahmen CNC has done some extensive testing, and he told me that tensioning this tensioning rod, this is a threaded rod with 2 nuts on it, and tensioning it should be done with about 0.1 or 0.2 Newton meters of force, which is incredibly low. I have no tools to measure such low torque. So anyway, it's quite logical because it's a threaded rod. If you have a tension, you tension it with a wrench, it translates to a fine pitch on a threaded bolt and then pushes on the belt, which is going to be a lot more force than you apply to the wrench. Anyway, Kevin Dahmen at Dahmen CNC has made some changes to the unit. So if you buy it now, it is with this type of belt and this type of pulley. So I forgot what's inside now. Maybe I can tell you while I take it apart, but what's going to be on there now is an 85 profile. And 85 is a belt system that is purely designed for motion systems. So like this, a motion system. It's a really tight tolerance. So the belt and the pulleys have a really tight tolerance. Although I have to say that I had no issues on the old system with the tolerance. But anyway, if it's better, then it's better. It's fine by me. But another thing is, these belts are a lot stronger. I don't know what type of material this is. Maybe you can find out. It's OptiBelt Alpha Torque 85 225 ST type belt. It's made in Ireland. Anyway, what is inside here is thin metal wires. There's thin threads in the circumference of this belt, and there is 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12 tiny metal wires that run in this circumference. So that makes it a lot stronger than the other belt. So I'm gonna put these in and I'm gonna check if these are as good in tolerance as the old unit, and if they do not break on me, which would be great. Yeah, because they will always break at the moment you do not have time to replace them. Anyway, let's take them open. So here we have the loose pin you can take out, and here you see why I opted to do some maintenance, because I found out I got a lot of backlash. So as you can see, the teeth are gone, the belt is ripped, and that's why we are starting this maintenance right now. So what you find out is that you will get backlash. So the new belt, this feels like, well, a soft kind of rubber, and the new belt feels quite stiff, more like an epoxy or something, I don't know, but well, we're gonna try this. Okay, since you're probably not even awake anymore, this video is getting a bit long, so I skipped quite a lot of video. Basically all we did was remove the old belt, remove the old pulleys and replace them with the new pulleys and new belt. Put everything together again, give it a good cleaning and tension everything. So if you want an in-depth video on the assembly of this unit, switch back in the playlist to video 10 of this series and you will get an in-depth video. So let me now assemble the complete machine again. So another problem I ran into on the machine was these cables. I had these cables on them. They are O-Flex Classic 110 CY cables, a transparent cable with a beautiful shielding in there. And the reason I took these was because of wire diameter and the fact they have a really good shielding. Since there were a lot of people telling me that having the VFD inside this controller box and all my electronics inside this controller box was definitely going to give me problems, I thought shielding was going to be my main priority. Well, none of those problems, EMC related problems, occurred, so no strange glitches or e-stops or whatever you can think about, not of that all. But what I had was cable issues. This cable is not meant for very tight radiuses and it is not meant to go motion wise all of the time. And since the cables are in these chains, the cable chains, they're constantly moving and with quite a tight radius. So when choosing your cables, make sure your cables are meant for motion. So motion cables that are meant to keep twisting and twisting and twisting. I had a lot of problems, all but one have given me problems. Even one time I did some measurements and I was quite sure that the cable was fine, which was the first time. And I even changed the stepper motor. One of you guys told me on Instagram it could not be the stepper motor, but well, I tried and the problem still consisted. So another thing are these Nutric connectors. I use these Nutric connectors for my steppers. So it's 2, 4, 5 pin connector, and it is basically invented for audio purposes. But I don't know if you can tell, but some of these pins turn a bit black, and I'm not sure if that's, well, carbon from like sparks or something, or it is some kind of corrosion, or I don't know. But anyway, I had this problem on a few connectors now, which resulted in jerky motion on the stepper because, well, basically one of the coils is not doing its job. So anyway, I'm not convinced that these connectors are the best choice for steppers, so not recommending them. I am going to clean them and go on with them for now, but I will probably change these out one day if I have spare time. So to tie up the cables, I basically need to reinstall these zero-backlash rack and pinion systems. So I'm going to do so, and if you want to know more about how to do so, check out video number 13 in this series, since in video 13 I talk more about assembly of the rack and the pinion system. So tightening up the last zip ties and the machine is back together, all maintained and ready for a couple of years working again. I hope you guys don't have to wait that long again for a video, but no promises on that. Sorry it's not a real interesting video, but it is a response on a lot of questions that I get. Thank you for watching, and if you're not already, please subscribe and hit the thumbs up button.